Hello, my name is Rivas Mayoki, an author, and I was thinking about the villainous world. I mentioned that earlier when I made my review of K dramas, but it's really a real world topic because the villainous world is just a place people create in their mind, a place where everyone is wicked, where everyone is corrupted, and where there is no other way but to be bad. It's a world for people who feel guilty and feel that they don't have suitable morals to make themselves feel like they are heroes of the world. It's it's a world of every narcissist or sociopath, but not even those extreme categories of extreme ways of dealing with delusions and the tangling universe. Ordinary people like you and me, and just like a habit of bad thinking, of negative views, of suspecting people, of constantly seeking out where were you wronged and who did you dirty. And when you have someone with a worldview that the world is villainous, you can't point at a good person to them and say, look, but they are upholding their values, they are not screwing anybody up. Down or up, I don't know. But to that person, even the good people have their spot. They're just suckers, and that's it. In contrast to villainous world, there's a virtuous world. And the very virtuous world lives in the minds of people who tend to be very spiritual and aspire to be really, really good. And in the virtuous world, there's no bad, there's no wrong, there's no injustice. Everything is perfect and in perfect harmony and just as it should be. And even if something bad happens to you, that is just an expression of the universe. That is just a way for you to learn, to grow. It's your karma. You brought it upon yourself. No, it's everything is your fault, because if anything is at fault of the universe, then the universe isn't inherently good. And the same way in the villainous world, nothing is your fault because the world is villainous and everything is by default bad. So if anything bad happens, it's the world's fault. Those are really two extremes of dealing with guilt. In one, the villainous world, you are without guilt and all the blame is upon the world that is villainous. And in the virtuous world, uh, all the blame is on you and not on the world, because the world is virtuous, the world is God, and there's no way that the world can be wrong, because if the world is wrong, you're unprotected, you're alone, and there's no one to care for you. And you carry the burden of guilt, but the burden of responsibility is upon the world, who is like a great, big, soft, and gentle parent that even when it scolds you, you are at fault. And I think that says more about parents of the people who garner those beliefs than about anything else. I don't know. I try to believe in a virtuous world. I think I still do in some way. It's a comforting thought, but when bad things happen, it's a really cruel world towards the person who is suffering the injustice, because all the blame is on the person who is going through an awful times, and you have it bad enough burden already without being burdened with the guilt. What did I do wrong? So I don't know. Balance again. I'm the person for the middle. Just find some middle ground. Sometimes it's your fault, sometimes the world is unjust, and sometimes you find those perfect moments when you feel that God is keeping you on the palm of their hand. And I don't know. I like the idea of the virtuous world. I just dislike the idea of everything being our fault. So I don't know. I will keep my faith, to, so to speak, in the goodness of the universe because I did experience it more than once. Uh, but I will also keep the blame divided equally because it's not always the blame of people who suffer. It's just like mm, the world is made unjust. We made it, but we didn't specifically made it to be unjust. The injustice just happens in the world that is not perfect because we are not perfect. The world is finite. Even if there is an infinite world behind the veil, the spiritual one, it's not this world. In this world, everything is limited, and every limited thing has a fault in itself, and you can fall down through cracks, and that's not your fault. It's just sometimes the world is villainous, sometimes it's virtuous. You are sometimes virtuous and you're sometimes villainous, but the balance is not to tip the scales and dive into madness and try to be too good or too bad. Just find balance, love, go, live. See you around. Bye.